Jesus came in, and he took all of my grief and shame. Hi y'all, this is Rodney Fowler, the Fowler family historian. I've got a few more stories to tell. First I want to do something that I haven't done before. I want to dedicate this episode to my mother, Shirley Fowler. She was a sweet lady. We lost her in January, but she's helped me all these years for this genealogy, and she worked really hard before she ever got me started in it and got me interested in it. So anyway, I just want to dedicate this episode to her. Savior of man, and is coming again. His promise secure I shall be. Oh, a pearl of great price. All right, today I'm going to talk about my dad's generation, Grandpa and Grandma's kids. They had 12 kids. I'm going to start from the oldest and go down to the youngest. I got to have my notes here, but I'm going to talk about it this way. First one is Herman Chesley Fowler. He's born August 3rd, 1921. I got this out of the family Bible. I wish I knew where that Bible was. I'd like to have it, or at least some copies out of it, some more copies out of it. Uncle Herschel married Delta Mae Mathis. They raised 2 boys and a girl. He was a World War II veteran. He worked in the oil field all of his life and then worked on his farm. He'd rather farm with mules and donkeys. He'd have a tractor sitting there and the battery run down before he ever started, because he liked farming with his mules and donkeys. They raised rabbits, all kinds of truck patch and everything else. Aunt Delta Mae, she was a homemaker and made some of the best chocolate gravy I ever had in my life. I'll miss her chocolate gravy. It was really good. And then their oldest son was also a Vietnam vet. I just want to add that in there. The next one down is Lorraine May. She was born May 18th, 1923. She married Rufus Mathis. He was a World War II Marine vet. They raised 6 boys and 3 girls. Their third child was Marvin Thurlow. We called him Shorty. He's a little bit short guy. He's under 5 foot tall. He was born February 8th, 1925. Up until I think the 50s, he was the shortest guy to ever be in the service. Like I said, he was less than 5 feet tall. He married Ida. We always called her Ida Red. She hated that name. She'd throw stuff at me and all kinds of stuff. I just do it out of aggravation. But they raised 1 boy and 2 girls. Uncle Shorty, he was a truck driver on his own trucking company for a while. He farmed in California and New Mexico, and he made concrete ornaments, set out in the yard and stuff like that. Aunt Ida, after the kids was grown, she went to work as a maid in a motel out there out in Arizona, where they retired to. Okay, their next child was Oscar Lee. He was born July 20th, 1927. Actually, yeah, July 20th, 1927. He died October 1927, that same year as an infant. He's buried over here in Norman, Oklahoma. He's buried in Oddfellows Cemetery for some reason or other. I never knew if Grandpa or any of the family ever been in Oddfellows, but anyway, that's where he's buried. Next one down is Arvel Vester. We called him Uncle RV. People called him AV. A lot of other names too. He was a character. He was born October 3rd, 1928. He married Aunt Mary. They had 2 girls and a boy. He worked on a ranch in California, retired from out there, and then he had his own businesses here in Oklahoma. One of them was a little store they operated over here. with his second wife, Emily. He helped her raise her son from a previous marriage. There'll be a little bit more of that here in a little bit. They operated that store until he retired, sold the store. Uncle Jack, he was the next one. He was born in, March 13th, 1931. His name was J.A. I don't know how he ever got to be called Jack. He married Aunt Francille, which, by the way, was the older sister of Uncle R.V.'s second wife, Emily. They raised 2 girls and 3 boys. He worked on a ranch in California until he retired, and Aunt Francille was a homemaker. Next one down is Uncle Jim. His name was A.C. He was born October 7th, 1933. He married Sarah Nell, and they raised 1 girl and 1 boy. He farmed and worked in the oil field. Funny story about that, they used to live down at Maysville, close to Maysville, down there on the Washita River. And we was down there on the river one time, and they were a bunch of fish just all up in the banks and everywhere. And we got us some clubs and went out there, stripped down to our shorts, and went out there and we were beating them fish on the head and throwing them out on the bank and everything. We got them to the house and started cleaning them. They was so bony we couldn't eat them. They was buffalo. I'd never seen any buffalo like that before, but we couldn't even eat them things. Next one, I got to say this is my dad, L.B. Fowler. Everybody called him Smokey. He was born May 11th, 1935. He was the 7th son of a 7th son. He married my mom, Shirley Severs. They raised us 2 boys, me and my brother, and they raised 2 foster boys. Dad had several jobs. He worked mainly farming and ranching, but he worked over here at Conwall. They're building the power plant and the dam when they was building Conwall Lake. He worked for DeLisha Brothers Rock Quarry over here. He retired from Seminole County. He was a grader operator there. And this is from Mom's own deal from her when she passed away. She wrote this herself. She was a homemaker and proud farmer and rancher's wife. Aunt Ellen's the next one. She was born September 26, 1937. She married Kenneth McCrae. They had 3 boys and a girl. She was a homemaker and a heck of a gardener. She could raise anything. You go to her house and everything was covered up with flowers and plants and vegetables and everything in the world. She was a heck of a gardener. And she was a sweet lady too, a little bitty short gal. And Kenneth, her husband, he was a truck driver all his life, retired from truck driving. And she ran the farm while he was off driving the truck. And then when he retired, he moved back and they farmed until they both passed away. Uncle Joe's the next one born. He was born October 24th, 1941. His name was James Randall. I can tell you how he got his name Joe. I guess the first phone they ever had, they was on a party line, and it was either for them or this guy named Joe, their neighbor. And every time the phone rang, he'd start hollering, "Hello, Joe, hello, Joe." So they started calling him Hello, Joe, and then shortened it to Joe. He worked in the oil field and logging industry for most of his life. He married Marcelle Moore. She's still alive. Just one of the 2 remaining of the in-laws. She lived down southeastern Oklahoma. She was a homemaker and a nurse until she retired. Benny, he was the next one. They called him Doc. He got his name because he got kind of addicted to the pop named Doc Cole, D-O-C, so they started calling him Doc. He married Joquita Fowler, Severs Fowler, which happens to be my mother's younger sister. They had a boy and a girl. He worked several jobs. He worked at Oklahoma City Stockyards. He was a truck driver. He worked for DeLisha Brothers Quarry over here until he retired. After Uncle Joe passed away, his older brother, and then Aunt Joquita passed away, he married Uncle Joe's widow, Marcel, and they were married until he passed away a few years ago. Twelfth child, this is the last one. Rosabelle, we call her Aunt Rosie. She was born October 16th, 1947. She married Jerry Hart. They had 2 girls and a boy. She was a homemaker, ran her own dog grooming business for a while, worked in a grocery store, and worked as security on the movie set of The Postman, starring Kevin Costner. She was quite a lady. Jerry was a carpenter. She later married Hadley Erdman, who is the only other one still alive, but ain't Marcel. He worked as a store manager and a mechanic. After Aunt Rosie passed away, he got with this wife he's married to now, Aunt Dory, and ran her husband's popcorn wagon until they retired. He'd been in business for 50-something years, and he passed away, and she finished running it until she retired. Okay, that's the story of my dad's generation. My grandpa and grandma's 12 kids, and kind of a short history of what they did for their living and all that stuff. Join us next time. I'm going to be talking about some family stories. Some may be true, some may not, but we've heard a lot of stories over our lifetime, and I'm going to tell a few of them. I know some of them are. I've proved them. I've got verification from them. But anyway, I'll see you next time. Thank y'all. He's the world's sacrifice. He's the master of Blue Galilee.